seriously in 1990 when I spent some 9 months in Turkey teaching English and teaching myself Turkish. And my approach to learning Turkish wasn't really conventional. I had bought a textbook, and then I just sat in the front seat of taxi cabs and talked to waiters and whoever I could. And it turns out I ended up learning Turkish with a Kurdish accent, which was endlessly amusing to people I encountered there. But this is because most of the people that were sort of teaching me or conversing with me ended up being Kurds, as they were the working class of Istanbul. And when they began to trust me, they began to sort of tell me more about their experiences of being Kurdish in Turkey. And so I developed an interest in the Kurdish issue. And since I was generally one who tended to sympathize with the underdog, was committed to social justice, and it's maybe one reason I had some good discussions with Vera at the time. But when I later began my graduate program at Princeton, I declared my interest in working on Kurdish history. But I found that my mentors, present company is excluded. My initial mentors, when I was doing my master's degree, they attempted to sort of discourage me from doing this, telling me that I'd never find a job, that it simply wasn't on the radar of Middle Eastern studies, that I'd get blacklisted, and so on. And I was stubborn, and I persisted, and luckily I found wonderful mentorship nonetheless, as my advisors realized that I wasn't going to be dissuaded from pursuing my interests, in spite of the fact that I did face massive difficulties in conducting research, including a 7-year ban from the archives in Turkey. They continued their support, however, with the notion this was still situated within the larger realm of Ottoman studies, and indeed it was, although I think perhaps I should just identify myself as a historian rather than the area studies approach. The Kurdish library in Brooklyn meant a lot to me, particularly during the first couple years, my first couple of years at Princeton, when I was conducting research for my master's thesis on Kurdish nationalism and the Kurdish Ottoman press. In fact, it was at the Kurdish library that I discovered the reprints of Kurdistan, the first Kurdish Gazette, which appeared as an Ottoman opposition journal from 1898 to 1902. And since I saw it there and I wanted my own copy, I was able to locate the publisher in Sweden and buy a copy. My first graduate paper at Princeton was on this journal, and I expanded it to include other materials for my master's thesis. The Princeton University Library had everything, and it still does. I'm still dying to go back there. But it didn't have this, or some other gems that were in Vera's library. During the visits I made to the Kurdish library, I engaged in quite a few long conversations with Vera, often at a place called Mustache, which is sort of a Middle Eastern pizza place nearby that she liked to frequent. And she was angry about the general lack of concern for the plight of the Kurds, and she was also dismayed at the lack of scholarly attention paid to Kurdish history, literature, politics, and so on in American academia. And so she established her Kurdish library and museum in her brownstone in Brooklyn to do her part to promote Kurdish studies.